Hello and welcome back to The Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. And last time, remember, we just started the adventure of the Blossoming Attorney. So now, let's get back into this, shall we? I'm going to give our heroine a different kind of voice here. A little bit of southern twang. So we start at August 13th, 10:41 a.m. outside the antechamber.
I'm so sorry, Susato. I should have told you about the toxin.
You have a strong sense of responsibility, I know. That's why you decided to shoulder the burden alone.
No, that's not it at all. I was just scared what value coming to light, that's all. So I hope to retrieve the substance from the English one before anyone found out. Before the trial started, do you remember what you said, Susato? That you had no doubt in my mind about my innocence. That you had no doubt in your mind about my innocence. That you stand by me to the last. I remember. And yet I didn't deserve your trust in me. I hid important details from you, Susato. I completely betrayed your faith in me. Hit me, Susato! I deserve it! No, in fact, throw me to the floor!
Girl, you don't want that. Just let you know, you don't want that.
No, that's too good for me as well. Drag me through the city streets.
No.
I'm no better, you know. Oh. Even though in my heart I knew that you pulled the knife blade from Miss Bet's back. There was just a brief moment when, in my mind, I doubted you. Susato! I'm sorry. After I stood here and promised you that I stand by you and always be by your side, I betrayed your faith in me too. And as such, I failed you as a lawyer.
I think this situation has taught both of you a valuable lesson. Placing your unbridled faith in another is no easy task.
Yes, Father, that fact has certainly struck home. Which is why I can see more clearly now, so, hey. Yes. Can you find it in your heart to forgive me? Oh, Susato. You know you'll always be a gallant, dashing lawyer in my eyes now. Alright. I was so scared, you know, when it happened. I didn't know what was going on. The English woman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. I know it was you who stole the poison. Well, now, whatever do you mean? And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Before collapsing on the floor in front of me with a knife in her back. It all happened right before my eyes. And you were the only person in the hut at the time?
Yeah, that is so off-putting right there.
That's right, just Miss Brett and myself. There was no one else. So I just don't understand how she could have possibly been stabbed like that.
Great mystery indeed.
I still can't believe it happened. That's why I just couldn't bring myself to speak up. It'll be alright. However it happened, and whatever really went on by the sea that day. I promise you that I'm going to prove everything you said you saw is true.
Spoken like a true Mikotoba. Now, I think we should discuss what's coming up in the trial, don't you? We don't have much time. We must make sure we have our facts in order.
Yes, I expect the poison is going to come under close scrutiny in the upcoming proceedings. The police should hopefully have identified it on the blade by now. The trouble is, it's a completely new laboratory synthesized blend of alkaloids. The police won't have any way of testing for it. Oh, I see.
Yes, without this chemical reagent, it's impossible to detect the toxin.
Chemical reagent?
I sent a colleague of mine with some earlier to deliver to police headquarters. I think perhaps you should have some as well, just in case. So we get the chemical reagent. What's the matter, Susato? You're suddenly very quiet.
It's this newspaper article. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from UMA Medical Research Laboratory. I'm wondering how the information got out given that it was a government secret. It was all the Ushwam's doing. What? It was when the professor and Soseki were being interviewed at the laboratory. That so-called English lady swam in and without any compunction said to Professor Mikotoba, "Oh, Professor, surely your kids would love to hear about your work on that substance there."
It put me in a very awkward position, to be frank. But Soseki's curiosity has been piqued, so I had little choice but to give him a cursory introduction.
So then, Soseki knew about the poison.
Yes, it's highly likely that the reporter who was writing up the story about us would have caught a glimpse of the toxin too.
This mini-son. By the way, did that reporter join you all when you went to the beach? Yeah, no, I don't remember the reporter being there.
Indeed, he shouldn't have been. I very much doubt anyone would have wanted him there.
Huh?
Known criminal had been given permission by the authorities to bathe by the seaside. Soseki pointed out that inviting a reporter might be problematic, so the man was sent back to his office. Yet he obviously didn't go back. He secretly followed the party to the beach and took this very candid photograph. Then, presumably, he posted it anonymously to the police. Yes, that must be what happened. Counsel! We just heard that the new witness is now ready to testify. The trial's about to resume. Please proceed to the courtroom at once. It stands to ourselves once again, then. Defense attorney Yutaro Naruhodo.
Yes! Marie has put her faith in me now, told me everything. So I can't let her down. I have to prove that she's telling the court is true. I have to prove what really happened that day.
And so we're back into it. Like so. August 13th, 11:30 a.m. Back in courtroom number 1. I hereby call this court to order. As we will convene to continue the trial of Raven Minoli. Prosecutor Ochi, have you summoned the witness?
Before I address that question, Your Excellency, I have some very important news to share.
Oh,
What news? Why does he look so happy about it? During the recess, with the collaboration of Professor Mikotoma's laboratory at Yumei University, the police examined the knife that was used to end Miss Giselle's Brett's life.
excellent. I admire your effort handling the matter.
Oh, too kind, Your Excellency, too kind. I was merely carrying out your instructions, of course.
I am the agent delivered to the police headquarters by rickshaw, so I will be there in good time.
But judging by the man's swagger, I fear we might need to brace ourselves for the inevitable. And counsel, what were the results? This dagger, which was so cruelly used to end the life of the victim, has no trace of poison anywhere along its blade. What? Are you sure about that? I would stake the reputation of the police on it.
Under the reagent, the test is extremely simple. They couldn't have made a mistake. And so we get the murder weapon.
In short, the accused female excuse area has been utterly destroyed. Now, the prosecution's ready to call a new witness.
Ah, the newspaper reporter who managed to capture a photograph of the crucial moment. Good. Very well, officer. Bring in the witness.
A trace of poison on a knife. If that's really the case, how could the toxin have entered the victim's body? Witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Writing Menmo of the Show You News. I'm what people like to call a Jono. What's a journal, Father? Do you know?
Simply a contraction of journalist. I'm there when the news breaks. Putting pen to paper to catch the scoops so they're in print the next morning. They don't call me the hero of the Herald for nothing. The nice guy of news.
Oh, so, it was you who took this photograph, was it?
Many a memo.
Well, what did we hear? I'm sorry?
Ooh, brace yourselves, people. Many memo senses are scooping the offer. Female student up to foul play defended by curiously handsome young lawyer in Supreme Court. The reader will lap this up. We'll set it up above the fold at 72 point in a 5-leg format for the morning edition.
Huh?
Right then. Let's throw your name.
Oh, it's Ryutaro Naruhodo.
Next, what made you become a lawyer?
Well, I wanted to reform our country's legal system, I suppose.
Ryotaro has suddenly become very ambitious, I see.
I just borrowed Cosmos. On the street from By the way, my name is Taketsuchi Aochi. That's Taketsuchi Aochi. The so-called Zakaz of the Supreme Court, my objection straight fear to every defense lawyer's heart.
No one cares about you. Nope, readers won't buy that.
What?
Witness.
Yes?
What this court demands to know is whether you or not you were responsible for the taking of this picture. It was delivered on us to the Imperial Police Bureau yesterday. Yeah, I wouldn't be a journal if I didn't click quick when presented with a scoop like that now, would I? Sometimes stories call out to me. Sometimes I have to chase them down, but either way, you gotta be fast. Fast like to run with, and a fast hand to write with is no good if you don't note it down, I will say. That's why I call my mini-memoism.
Mini-memoism?
Ah, yes, I remember it first. We met that day when you were interviewing myself in Sosaki's. Yes, right. That was me. Mini-memo again. But you were supposed to be going back to the show news offices after our meeting. But the scoop is, I didn't. Because that English woman's words had piqued my journalistic interest.
Miss Brett's words?
A criminal left to do as she pleases just because she happens to be a British citizen? It's horse dung! This country's judiciary is rotten to the core. Well, yeah, I know it's horseshit. Supreme Court's rulings aren't worth the paper they're written on. Police are just imperial pawns.
Stay your tongue, young man. There are complex political issues at play.
Even now. Well, anyway, I quickly jotted down those words she said in my memo pad. Are you ready? I'll read it out. It's all here, right? Here goes. I should like to go with everyone to see your country's coast. A serious criminal going on some junket. People need to know about this. That's why I decided to sneak after him. To get the whole story so I can hammer her in the press. Well, I bet you would. Do you mean to say that you did indeed witness it firsthand? The grim scene portrayed in this photograph? Oh yeah! Saw my very own journal eyes. From start to finish. Through the viewfinder of my trusted camera. Thank you, Memo. You will now give a formal testimony before the court. You will state exactly what it is that you witnessed of the events surrounding Miss Brett's death. Testimony. The camera never lies. The beach hut was made of shoddy old reed screens, so there were plenty of gaps I could see inside through. The English woman was sitting on a stool when the student girl came in and started arguing with her. Seconds later, the girl pulled out a knife, throwing the English woman to the floor, and she stabbed her in the back. My smoldering journal spirit burst in flames. Quick as flash, I whipped out my camera, ready to click. I pulled apart the rough weave of one of the screens and poked the lens through for the perfect shot.
Read screens here, son.
Right. You can see them clear enough in that great shot I snapped. The hut walls were just screens made of coarsely woven reeds.
Yes, it does seem. Yes, it allows the breeze to pass through and bring some relief from the summer heat.
And it was a breeze for me to put my camera through and see the whole thing hotting up.
Ignoring life for the time being, the appalling invasion of privacy involved. Did you witness everything that happened from the moment the defendant entered the hut?
Oh yes, I saw it. Saw the whole thing from start to finish.
When you say that you took the photograph through a gap in one of the screens?
Luckily for me, they were pretty shyly woven. I pulled the reeds apart and thrust the lens of my camera through the gap. Would I get away with it, or would I be seen? It's a gamble of a lifetime.
A tenacity of purpose that's considered admirable in a genocide of hers.
Run a risk one day, run a scoop the next. That's minimalism in a nutshell.
At last, it would appear that we have a genuine witness to this wicked crime. The evidence and testimony are extremely compelling. I believe we may be close to a verdict. No. Wonderful news, Your Excellency. Wonderful. Nevertheless, it cannot be denied that this testimony begs one very large question. What question? Exclusive news, a startling photograph, and all the makings of an exceptional story for the report. Why then was the story never published? Oh, that's right. It seems clear to me that there are circumstances at play here. They have to be understood. More pathetic excuses! Very well then. Proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, Your Excellency. So much is required to meet the eye. Da-da-da-da-da! He's keeping something about this case very close to his chest. Okay. 1, 2, 3. How about I press you, sir? Do you swear before this court that you actually saw the precise moment when the stabbing took place?
Ha! The precise moment. I didn't just see that. I saw the whole hellish scene play out from start to finish.
I have here a sample plan of the beach hut. A simple plan. The sample plan is a simple plan of the beach hut. Perhaps you could use it to explain to court exactly what you witnessed.
Right you are. It's all here in my mini memo bag. When I first peered into the hut, I'm sure that the English woman was on this stool on the back of the hut here.
Yes, the accused own testimony confirmed it. She just sat at the back of the hut smiling sweetly is what I am noted down.
It's my turn to testify now. Try not to interrupt. And then, the next moment, as I was watching, the evil student girl entered the hut. After a while, the pair of them ended up in the middle of the hut, arguing furiously. And the Englishwoman went for the student, but the girl dodged out of the way. flash plunged the knife into her adversary's back as the two passed each other. What you described as a grim crime indeed. Never sugarcoat the truth. That's what many memoism says. So we got a beach hut plan.
By the way, mini memo. Once you were watching that terrible scene unfold before your eyes through the gap in the screen, did it not occur to you to try to prevent the tragedy rather than capture it on film?
Journals have to be observers. We can't get involved. That's our raison d'etre.
So you didn't converse with Miss Red at all?
Obviously not. An observer always remain on the outside looking in.
And that's something to be proud of, is it?
Your Excellency, if I may. Yes, Professor. I think the witness lies expertly phrased statements should be perhaps be added to his formal testimony.
Father, what
I will grant the defense request. Minimum, you will supplement your formal testimony with the aforementioned statement. Well, nihilism is the foundation of many memoism, but I'll gladly prove that my words aren't meaningless. That must hurt. I never once set foot in the hut, nor spoke with the Englishwoman. I was there only as an observer. There's something about this fountain pen I need to know.
If we take off the pen's lid,
and point to this. Keep your eyes on northern area, does it? And we point to here. Check this side. What about here?
now let's unscrew the barrel, shall we?
And note of this, the barrel.
This must be the little reservoir that holds the ink.
Yes, you fit it by drawing ink from a bottle up through the ink.
Is something wrong, Father?
Just that there doesn't actually appear to be any ink in there.
Oh, yes, you're right. It's pretty much empty. Well, that could be on the verge of running out, I suppose.
Now we have it updated. Sir, what do you know about this?
Mini memo. Until now, I had a firm belief that newspapers are in the business of uncovering and publishing the truth.
You're spot on there. The press doesn't lie, which is why I'm proud to wear the emblem of the Shoyu News on my arm. In a way, that's more than a memoism.
Sadly, though, it seems the journalists who write for those papers don't always share the same passion for the truth. What are you suggesting with those recriminatory words?
cat.
Mini memo. Do you recognize this fountain pen? This pen was found at the scene of Miss Brett's death. In fact, the murdered victim was gripping it in her hand as she died.
What are you?
If you look at the barrel of the pen, you'll notice that its owner's initials are engraved there. R.M. Yes, thank you for bringing that up, Captain. The initials of the accused, Ray Mumbim Mimbummy. It's a coincidence, I wonder, that your initials are also RM? No!
Writing a memo. Writing many a memo.
Writing many memo.
Alright, as I say it, writing many a memo.
RM.
That's horseshit! Can't you see one of the central tenets of many memoism is being a pencil user?
And yet, as the court will clearly be able to see on your right hand,
Ink. Left.
there's a very obvious blue ink stain.
It would appear that you must have rather carelessly left it somewhere recently. A favorite fountain pen, that is. Horse shit!
Many memo. Is it not the case that before she died, you met with Giselle Brett in that beach hut? Why should we listen to this absurd nonsense? It's nothing but another excuse.
Exactly! Show you news won't stand behind me all the way. I deny everything.
Well, I deny you, sir.
How about that? There must be as many people with the initials RM as there are stars in that sky.
The defense has neither the time nor the inclination to count every star in the sky.
Huh.
And there's no need anyway, because this pen has more to tell you. Yes, there is another clue. A clue that undeniably proves who its owner really is.
In that case, counsel, the defense will now show the court where this alleged clue lies.
Of course, Your Excellency. The clue on this fountain pen clearly reveals its owner's identity is rare. There's some sort of emblem here. What is it that you made university one?
It must belong to some other organization, I suppose. This is some kind. That would seem to imply that the pen doesn't in fact belong to Ray.
As well as the initials, there is also an emblem on this fountain pen. An emblem that you will, of course, recognize. Mini memo.
Goodness me, it's the emblem of Show Your Nose?
In other words, the owner of this pen is an employee of the Shoyu News, whose initials are RN. Suddenly the stars in the night sky doesn't seem so numerous to you. Well, Mini Memo, how do you respond?
No! Order! Explain yourself, witness. Yes, explain yourself, witness. So, this is how the Mighty Supreme Court works, is it? Using coercive tactics to have well-meaning citizens reveal harmless secrets.
I've used nothing but honest tactics.
Alright then, fine. I won't try to hide it anymore. Wait, you were trying to hide it now? Yes, not before that grim tragedy unfolded. Not long, I, a Show You news reporter on behalf of the public, conducted an interview with the Englishwoman.
Interview? You've never mentioned this before. When exactly was this? As I said, it was before that evil little student girl showed her face in the hut. Couldn't have lasted more than 2 or 3 minutes, that's all. It was just pretty much strange. But it came to nothing. As we many memoists say, the people don't pay their dues for unworthy news. However insignificant you deem it to be, this court cannot overlook the meeting between yourself and the victim. You will testify now under oath about the precise nature of this meeting and what transpired. Got it. Yes, alright, but on one condition. Condition?
In all good conscience, I couldn't speak out alone about this. You need to call back the earlier witness, Soseki Natsume.
Soseki?
Oh yeah, according to my notes here, that man has a secret of his own, and brace yourselves. It's not because it's not a harmless one. He speak.
Huh?
Many memoism states that one man's secret is every other man's front page story. Very well, I will grant the witness request in this instance. Officer, summon the audio witness back to the stand.
Soseki-san hiding something?
I'll change up his voice too. The witness's secrets. I asked the English woman for an interview, but she declined, so I left the hut without making a fuss. Then, watching secretly from outside, I saw the woman being stabbed, and the other witnesses come running. The detective realized that the victim still had a pulse, so he ran off to fetch help. That's when this Spider-Man here asked the woman a very significant question. But he didn't say anything about that in his testimony, which is why many memoism demands are revealed now. You mean to say the victim?
The victim regained consciousness? And when she did, you decided to ask her a question? That's true, yes.
He did, and that's not all. The woman gave him a very definitive answer. An answer that incriminates the accused.
This is preposterous. Why am I the only one hearing about this now? Why didn't you mention this before, you yogo hack?
This wasn't even a conversation!
Yes, I did pose the widow English Rose a question. I don't deny it. But she could no longer speak. She was barely conscious even.
Counsel for the defense, I expect a thorough cross-examination to be conducted here. This court must and will know the truth.
Absolutely, Your Excellency. Where's claiming that Miss Brett indicated race? What on earth could have happened in that?
One, two, three, four.
Russ! What question? What exactly did he say?
Well, now, you should hear that from the horse's mouth, I think.
Don't you, Mr. Riderman? Out of it, you yokel hack! What did you say to her? What did you say to the dying English woman? Well, in truth, I'd been catching crabs at the water's edge and building castles in the sandy sea.
Well, the seaside is a place to be at leisure, I suppose, even for a grown man.
But then all of a sudden, from that little beach hut, a young girl's panic-stricken cries for him pierced the air. I ran up to the beach to see what was happening, to find the defendant leaning over the collapsed victim. As soon as Inspector Hosonago saw Miss Brett on the ground, he sprinted off to get help. And then, just a moment later, I heard a faint moan, a moan from the dead English woman. I nearly jumped out of my skin! But what did you ask her, Soseki?
I asked her who did this to me. Don't protract this any longer. How did the woman respond?
She didn't say nothing in response!
When in the stand, you will answer the questions asked of you unambiguously. Now, without evasion or reticence, I demand that you amend your testimony. I will! Of course you will. I asked her who did this to you, but she never replied. She just lifted a trembling finger and pointed in the direction of the defendant.
Miss Brett pointed a finger at the defendant. Soseki, is that really true?
It's not easy to stand here and say this, but when we first entered the beach hut, the Englishman was sprawled on the floor before us, with the student girl standing on the far side of her. And when I asked who did this to you, the Englishwoman summoned her last ounce of strength to point a trembling finger at the back of the hut, which was, it can't be denied, in the direction of the student girl who stands accused today. So, Sakir, why on earth did you neglect to mention this in your original testimony? Veto 6, I say! This is not a British court of law. You will respond in Japanese. Hey! The English woman did point her finger towards the back of the hut, but I was trembling, and she was trembling, and everything was, and thinking about it, I feel as though she was pointing in a slightly different direction. Actually, no, not slightly, in a very different direction to where the student girl was standing. Of course, to? Somewhere at the back of the hut when nobody was standing at all?
You mean your memory of events and the direction in which the victim was pointing are both unclear?
Yes, that's it. Unclear. I'm very, very unclear.
Your Excellency, surely this proves that the matter beyond all reasonable doubt. Yes, the woman may barely have been conscious, and yet perhaps have been aware of it slightly, but there can be no doubt that this was an attempt by the victim to confirm the identity of her assailant. Why? Because as this court can see, there was no other than the accused in the direction the victim was pointing. It is now abundantly clear that no one besides the accused could possibly have committed this crime.
I am inclined to agree. And in the absence of any credible argument to the contrary, I believe we can now conclude this trial. Headlines writing itself. Dashing Lord's Hopes Dash. 92 point across the whole page. We'll do an extra edition. This is a serious blow, unless we are able to identify the true culprit and substantiate our claim with evidence. The judge will give his ruling and the trial will be over.
But that's impossible, Father. We don't even know how the crime was committed yet.
Impossible the task may seem. We've no choice. We must think back over everything we've learned thus far. Somewhere in all those details, I'm confident we'll find the clue we need.
They gave us the account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Bright was killed. The English woman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. And then a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet before collapsing on the floor in front of me with a knife in her hand. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty but for herself and mother? Somewhere amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question.
I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add.
So the Gallic Yogo student's luck finally runs out, can't say I'm surprised.
In that case, I am ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter.
This is a crucial turning point now. I can't establish what really happened. It's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? How did he or she stab the victim?
I know how.
Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your education for the time being.
Or, to what end, counsel?
The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with her dying gesture. Alternative theory! None exist! There was someone else present at the scene. Who else could have committed the crime? What? And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time by mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction. This is fiction! Fantasy!
I know plenty of. Very well, as you seem so sure of yourself, counsel, I am prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, you Taro Naruholo.
Yes, Your Excellency.
You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? looking at outside, to the outside left of the hut. I have to think outside. Because if she was, I have to think right and my left. I have to think this way. My left is my right. My right is my left. So I'm just gonna do it. Just gonna do it back up safe. I had to keep that in mind. If they're doing mirror, I'm looking at my right hand. My left hand is my right hand. My right hand is my left hand. But if I think about it like this, Naruhodo would never give up, and I am a Naruhodo now. The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Pratt was concealed in this location here. Are you mad, Consul? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut? What? Yeah. My right is my left, my left is my right. Order! 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 But suited lawyer Naruhodo's son, Esquire! That makes no sense at all. You just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop stamp. But I didn't see any suspicious individual loitering about. I can swear to that. Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut. I had to remember. This is my right, but I had to think about, like, mirror. Like, if I'm looking at, like, right, turning right. If anything, I'm pointing to my left, but I'm looking at my right. So I had to think about it like this. Left is right, right is left.
There's no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut. Actually, clearly prosecuted Alchi. There is a way.
Ah!
And in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed. You're bluffing! You're bluffing! You
The defense assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend. You will need to give us more guidance, Coach. What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut? Yes. The original photographic print of the crime scene.
Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of that fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Do you take us for fools?
There's no hint at any such thing. I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone at least appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to.
Counsel, once again I must call you to be explicit for the court. Where on this photograph is the trace of the stabbing which you claim took place from outside the hut. Right here. See the slit?
Look closely just here. In the screen, at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds.
No! I can't see such anything!
It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls, as you expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them.
This is extraordinary!
Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. And of everyone present at the scene, there is only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right in mini memo! It could only have been you.
No! Damn you!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume that as part of this farcical scenario that the assailant was a knife thrower? No, of course not.
We're not?
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death, inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on the stool like a hut, smiling sweetly at me, as if she knew she was untouchable.
Stool?
Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the reed screen would perfectly align with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool.
My word. So, in fact, the victim was
killed while sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the reed screen. Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut. Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. Your silence, Many Memo. I take it that you don't deny the charge. This is absurd!
Of course it's absurd. That would do. It would appear that we have a tactic. A tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Membami, is innocent of the crime.
Oh, thank God. I finally made him cave.
I must say, I've never been more proud.
No, this can't be. The Archie can't. What of my grove? My grove of hope?
Which growth? Because you never had one on top or on bottom.
It wasn't an operation. I can't accept it. I won't.
I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I would therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my... Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and brand them as criminals.
But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut through the reed screen walls.
And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the English woman, doesn't it?
Well, it seems a little irrelevant now.
Irrelevant.
Irrelevant?
Where she was stabbed.
How she was stabbed.
It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, this trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else.
What are you talking about?
Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up.
What?
Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison course.
The poison?
Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that a deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used.
I see. So, presumably, that means
that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was there? Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood.
How refreshing to hear the argument of the metropolitan mind. Precisely! matters not a jot who stabbed, who is in whose back, and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison. But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already... Look at it now, During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever. So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turned out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right?
Order! But what else deceived us? How in this case did the poison enter the victim's body? Yes, undeniably sounds good. The lady most likely imbibed.
You mean she drank it?
Have another look at the photograph here, as we see. A bottle of carbonated water and a glass have been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have been slipped in time.
So somebody made Miss Brett drink it.
Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make great front page shot. Hey! Why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It wouldn't make no sense at all that I poisoned her, would it? I mean, that's been established already.
Established? What are you talking about?
And don't tell me you forgot. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you.
Me? What on earth does he mean?
Ooh, let me capture those wide eyes. This is prime press fodder, it is. It would seem that this trial is not destined to end yet, after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great. That is. Let me get a shot at magnificent beer, Your Excellency. You claim it to be impossible that you are the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You explain to the court your testimony, the basis upon which you make such claim. I'm a journal, and I'm a man, and I never try to run or hide from anything in my life. But I'm not about to start now. That's because many memories.
Where is this trial going to take us?
The end of this part. The end of the trial. That's where it's going to take us, to the end of this trial. The first trial. Complete innocence. Oh yeah, I established. And it was that very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I bother to stab someone if I already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. Of course, going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have seen justice done.
So you admitted then that everything happened as I described.
Then
You are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the wraith screen?
you can blame this miserable country of ours.
Huh?
A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. That's the U.S., all right. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. I'm so sure. Slap bang in the middle of that charming lady's back, I plunged a blade of sweet justice right in there. As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me.
Huh?
That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart.
You're implicating Ray again.
She's the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap! There's Journal here's off the hook. The argument is uncertain. If the witness had administered the poison himself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsense.
And therefore this reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical.
That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you all seen that light. Justice at last! Farcical, isn't it?
This is unbelievable. And after I've made so much progress improving his skills, is he going to get away with it now? Think of Cosmo and Nana. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel.
Very well then, Coach. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial.
Yes, Your Excellency.
I. 1, 2, 3.
What exactly were they arguing about?
About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. Student girl laying into the Englishwoman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Watson. Ah, yes, John H. Watson. Professor of Medicine, invited here from England by Professor Mikoto. Right, but the Englishwoman just jeered.
Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai. However, there's little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman.
He was eating that student girl up inside. You can see it. I really felt for her.
Hold it. I can't stand here and listen to this tripe. Young daddy, you're starting to kill here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it.
No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen.
But this awful man is making all this up. Society, please, you have to make them listen.
Return to the dock at once, Membami. We are in the middle of the cross-examination.
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly, he's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, great pig, dirty, great peeping Tom.
Let me read that again.
He's a rotten.
Let me read that again.
He's a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great peeping Tom.
How is he bigoted? That's what I want. Oh, take it easy there.
Please. I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say. Your Excellency, I see no need whatever to entertain the accused's remarks.
I will grant the request of the defense.
But George,
This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
thank you so much, Your Excellency. It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson.
Dr. Watson. Dr. Watson, not Dr. Wilson.
We were discussing the stolen poison. The stolen poison that killed the victim. I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Watson.
That's true. Additionally, Miss Pratt certainly had knowledge of the poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, officers to thoroughly search when they did. Even a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague. Getting the poison out would be very difficult.
That's true. I pestered Professor Miktoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail.
Miss Brett would rather bluntly reveal the existence of the toxin we've been developing, you see. And since Soseki expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance.
I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience. A deadly poison.
Hey, why didn't look my own enemy in the eye? Surely you could understand that. Of course.
To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Britt about the poison. I told her that were to be an incident involving it somehow. It wouldn't just be the university. The military will be dragged into it. The whole government. It will be a complete disaster.
And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns?
She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually.
Yes. Mini memo. One small question, if you don't mind.
I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy?
Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in, whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you heard. Exclusive deadly poison stolen from UMA Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Show You News. Get it? The joke. Show You News. The details are too accurate for us to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, look at this. The entire article is almost what I sent to Miss Brett, word for word.
Good!
Well, many memo.
As a journal and as a citizen of a free country, don't have to reveal my sources. It's a founding principle of mini-memoism.
Father's clearly right about this. The reporter did find that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut.
Update.
So that's what this was. So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her.
Shut up! My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want to go on record.
How many pencils have you broke, man? That's about like at least 10 or 15. I want to know how many pencils he's holding. Shit. Like he's got how many number 2 pencils he broke so far? Very well, you may amend your former testimony.
The point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason to then go and stab the person as well.
Sir. You mean to tell me that this right here, look very hard at this thing.
The witness statement is definitely contradicted by this piece of evidence.
Is that so, counsel? Then would you care to explain to the court precisely how?
How?
Oh, crap.
Well, definitely.
A contradiction lies in your apparent eagerness to project an empty argument as you. Yeah.
What is it?
I know what it is.
I jumped. I'm sorry. I jumped.
Article first.
Well, I can think of one reason.
What?
But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information for this newspaper article from what you overheard outside the hut?
Of course he did. There can be no question of that. After all, when we were in the laboratory together, all we were told is that it was a terrible toxin. Sam.
So,
Seki.
And there's one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membami's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to slip the poison into Miss Brett's drink. Where are you going with this, Kento? Manny Memo has made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in that witch hut. If the defendant has somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it.
Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison while the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami entered the hut. He is very accurate. Articulate.
When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison. At which point Manny Memo overheard some worrying information. Worrying information? What worrying information? The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy and that it couldn't be readily obtained.
Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab.
And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs of death. Extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, quite startling, you see. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, but not among new substances that are undetectable. In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people.
Oh! Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Mbami being no exception.
Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson, unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you, writing the mini memo.
Yeah!
It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day. It was you who administered to the unwitting victim. But you quickly realized that was a terrible mistake. Because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and so traceable. As you listen in from the far side of the beach, Hut's thin walls, you learned of these facts. But you already given the poison at that point. It was too late. So you had to plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involves stabbing the victim in the back through this reed screen. But what good could that possibly do? Isn't that obvious, Consul? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect.
Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened.
Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of new secret poison use, no one would have ever suspected.
This is extraordinary.
Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use. Which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back.
Ora! The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that a one's consideration. Does prosecution have counter-argument it wishes to put forward?
Yes, I counter completely. The prosecution evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he's clinging to lost hope.
You pathetic, useless, fallen samurai!
Fallen? Who are you calling fallen? My burgeoning prophecy.
I don't need a counter-argument.
What on you talking about?
It should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say. Gave it to the victim, you say. Stabbed her, you say. Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
Jackass.
Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself.
I mean, what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here in my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. That's what Sure You New's famous for. Power of the printed world.
I'm sure there would be no easy path to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, our visitors to the lab are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if they've managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult.
How's that then? Blown the story wide open? See, I write many memo. A mere reporter from Show You News. Couldn't possibly have stolen poison from the professor's laboratory.
There can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that he stole it and used it to kill. And if that's the case, as you have identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here.
What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin?
Yeah, she is quite beautiful, isn't she?
My point is this. There is one way that you, Many Memo, could have stolen the poison that day.
I have heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on that day in question? Now then.
The proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen.
A fountain pen. How can that possibly be relevant?
These magic pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now.
Yeah, I swear by weasel hair, calligraphy brush, and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad. Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously, I love my fountain pen.
Much respect to you, man. Much respect to you.
Suck up a soup corn of sumptuous ink. And one's work is awash with words in the blink of an eye.
I don't know how it's pronounced, but I'm just calling it what it is. So cool. Speak them words, man. Speak them words, man. Speak them words.
That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the barrel, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later.
I have plenty in my bag.
But is all this sucking up ink And just as it's possible to suck up ink into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course.
Can this really be?
Well, Many Memo,
And
when you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, you used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you?
So all you need to do is, like, just suck it up.
By siphoning the poison up through the nib and into the pen's reservoir. More safety! That's never happened! True, hard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places?
I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would not have been conducted. Well, it is his quite startling mention.
I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by Manny Memo. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped?
Are you suggesting?
The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from it into her glass. There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have been using his pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim. And when shocked by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell into a quivering hand. No, that can't be. And if it was, how to explain why the pen was devoid of ink? But as you can see for yourself, if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. What newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen?
There you go. You disgrace yourself as a reporter. You disgrace yourself to your own craft.
No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass.
Witness, what do you have to say in your defense? So this is how our modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink in my pen runs dry? What if my pencil snaps? Goddamn, dude! I can always claw my way back into the game. I have plenty in reserve. Jesus, dude, how many of them pencils were you breaking all this time? You were going by 30 now? Damn. Maybe 50? Shit. Ah! You claim I sucked the poison in my pen. That's wild speculation. Nothing more. You thought you could bring down a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that? Take a game. This is all it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation is now very simple. It rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it depends on whether or not the defense can prove no such evidence could possibly exist.
Many members, this is how our modern justice system works.
What?
In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you would do well to remember. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you.
Very well then. I call upon the defense to present the aforementioned evidence.
This is it, then. This will be the final piece of the puzzle. The defense can prove, by means of this item, that it was the witness pin that was used to steal the poison.
This. Counsel, what is that about?
This bottle contains the unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question.
Yes, that poison is entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by micronism. It would be impossible to detect traces of it by any other method.
Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison.
Reagent? What?
One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen mini memo is all it will take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt.
No, you can't. Oh, whoa. $55.
Her crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test on the fountain pen at once.
This isn't my fault. The Empire drove me to this, trying to hold my hand and blah 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 blah. Break that off.
Susato, with me!
Oh shit.
I'm there.
Oh shit.
Did I do it right? That was a Susato takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a Yutaro takedown. The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present.
When I saw it there in the lab, the poison, I just definitely got hold of me. I decided to do it on one. I excused myself and emptied all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully.
And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison into your fountain pen.
Yes, that's right. Answer me one thing, lady. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't it obvious to find out what it was made of and expose it in an article? I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up.
Then why did the English woman end up dead?
I went into that hut intending to quiz her on her situation, that's all, as a reporter. A known killer enjoying full freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. And she just laughed in my face.
Oh, what's this? Far Eastern cavemen purporting to practice journalism. Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian.
What you call me? A grunt.
This country, with its pretensions to a justice system, to free press. It's really very depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you elf. Get out and crawl back into the cave you came from.
Yeah, that's bigotism right there.
That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time.
About the terrible tale.
In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't. I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journal spirit getting all fired up.
I'd like to ask you something.
Yeah.
You often talk about justice. But surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought.
There's no justice in the press.
This is somewhat true. Yeah, there's no justice in the press.
Sorry?
After that trial 9 months, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in that courtroom. Finally, discovered the truth. It was a cover-up. That's what it was.
A cover-up? What do you mean?
I would remind you of your position with this. Be careful what you say. Oh, come on! Doesn't it strike you strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction should never have come into it. And yet that puffed up English woman was going to set sail away into the sunset a free woman. The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal had gone down between Britain and Japan.
What's happening?
I done my research, dug up all the dirt. It was all ready to be published. 51. But you know what happened? The editor just tore up the article.
He came under pressure from the government, you mean?
If our government's going to let criminal walk free, if they're going to crush the free press, then what choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself?
Shanghai, you are not, sir. I'm sorry, but Shanghai, you are not. Nor are you Joe Musashi.
Let's not forget Mini Memo. That you committed murder yourself and you tried to lay the blame on the defendant's door. At the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Britt.
What?
The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all.
I suppose.
It would appear that we reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Yutaro Naruhodo.
Yes, sorry, Your Excellency, just musing in a manly way here.
It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience of the Supreme Court. What is next to it?
In truth, it was very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits.
Not all. You and Asuke, you mean?
The way you handled the trial 9 months ago and the way you handled this one gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land.
That's very flattering, Your Excellency.
The defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries.
Thank you.
So, Prosecutor Olchi, do you have any final thoughts? The fuck?
Prosecutor Ochi?
I, Taketsuchi of the Olchi clan, have been bested by a Galo youth. Now, not once, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today.
Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it?
Silence! Rather than living on in shame. No, dude, don't do it. I will end it all here with this blade. For that is the true path of Ochism!
Ochi-ism?
One hopes that the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness. He's not going to do it. Sprig of my pocket. The time is right for freedom. Hope is lost forever. Taketsuchi.
What?
We all must have a moment to that one piece of hair that he tried so hard to grow.
Can we hear this now? Now, in regard to the defendant, Ray Mimbami,
Yes, Your Excellency.
I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you not guilty! And the crowd goes wild, yay. Court adjourned! Later that day, 2:38.
It's over. My heart's still pounding my chest, though. It's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such great responsibility, such great burden to bear. Don't they, Naruto? Susanna? Susanna! Thank you! Thank you! You were so dashing in there! Me and my father. I'm so touched by everything you... Oh no, I think I'm going to cry. It wasn't easy, but... Yeah, sorry, it wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end too. The only reason I'm still here is because of you. Oh no, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did wonderfully, though, Ray. So I would have to say that the congratulations belong to you. Susato, don't be so standoffish. Sorry. We're friends, equals, and the trial's over. So no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with swagger, to throw caution to the wind. Caution to the... What? I'm the great defense lawyer, Yutaro Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow. What? Or something? Alright, I see. I'll think about it, right? At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horror man, and it felt so good. Yes, it really was satisfying. It really was. Isn't there anybody else we could throw together?
I hope you look at me, right?
Oh my goodness! And of course not! There it is at last. Ray's lovely smile.
You fought for your friend to the last. As a father, I'm extremely proud. Defense attorney, Yutaro Naruhodo.
Thank you, but I couldn't have done it without your help. Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to you, Taro, I think. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikobata. I shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikotoba now. So I'll never see him again. What a terrible shame. What?
What is happening?
So Saki and Inspector Hosonaga. I do hope you've been keeping well.
Is that really? Yo.
Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But it's me. Susato Mikotoba. Sadashi. So divine.
No! Dominant dashing, yes, devilishly divine, just look at you! I had no idea, Mrs. Santos, Esquires, that you were locum student Naruhodo's Esquire's cousin. Astounding Isatori!
Poor Sasaki. So confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. He was in prison. In London. An extraordinary conundrum it was that the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo's skillful defense of the Old Bailey, Sasaki was free to return to Japan. And now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author.
Stunning, truly impressive disguise. Even I had no idea, and I'm Chief Inspector of the Police Bureau. Who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less?
I'm not sure you should be admitting to it, Inspector.
Amazing, all women of many faces, I say.
I think you should really clean that bit of, spittle there. You should really get yourself checked.
Just too really. And this was a once-in-a-lifetime event. I'm not a patch on you either. Oh, I'm not a patch on you though, Inspector.
And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as sailors to keep us safe from the journey. From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all this. I mean, now the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? I'm talking about the matter that the English woman committed at the end of last year.
Ah, yes, it was an English doctor she killed, and as I understand it.
Dr. John Watson, yes. The man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? And now that the culprit is self-stated, we'll probably never know the answer. On the voyage to Great Britain, we had a most unexpected encounter with Mr. Sherlock Holmes, the great detective. Yes, I remember Mr. Solmes well, of course. It's Sherlock Holmes. Ah, my arch nemesis had let you utter his name. Well, according to the stories published about him in the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve crimes. Best friend. And that man was an exceptional doctor of medicine by the name of John Watson. What? Dr. Watson? I just can't believe it's coincidence. I think the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Solmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl will never see her beloved father again. As you know, I traveled to Great Britain under myself to study. It was around the time you were born.
Yes, grandmother told me about it.
On return to Japan, I took up my professorship at the Imperial May University. But I also serve another role as advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs.
Yes, I was aware of that as well.
In that case, I'm sure you understand. There are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you.
Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan?
Oh,
It's been 2 months now since I returned. When I left England, it was because of an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. Said you collapsed with a high fever and you were growing weaker by the day. What? Where did the news come from? That's what I'd like to know, because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Is there something in Great Britain that you perceive might inconvenience me in some way, or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of.
dear me. Do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father's assault? I'm sorry, my dear. So you can't.
Let me go!
Many memo? So one thrill was enough for you?
I got one last say. They say before they take me away, Professor. Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. In that visiting student's fight.
Visiting student? Did you say Bridget?
No, not her. The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago.
Student of law? It must be... Cosmo? What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Cosmo?
Nobody in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know the guy who never made it to England, that he died on that same ship, and that. Well, I didn't expect to find him in here.
He just pulled off a Taitetsu-san Oroshi. Just real quick on his head, like, so, Taitetsu-san Oroshi! What the fuck? What were your officers playing at?
Terribly sorry, Excellency.
I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw had arrived. It's a good job I came by. Thank you, Judge Guan Yu. Yes, thank you for that. And I'll be there shortly.
Oh, Your Excellency?
The trial is over. I'm not your excellency anymore. And your father's friend. Seishiro Jigoku. Oh shit! The man's hell. The man's name is Hell. And may I say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken more dashing appearance.
Did you know all along from the start of the trial?
Judge, she is everything, Susanoo. I couldn't let you take the risk, even Seishiro here had no in any regular way. So I had a word with him beforehand, as a friend. So, Seishiro, shall we? Yes. Having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address.
Before you go, Father?
Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. But well done again. Both of you. You did
Arigatou gozaimasu.
What did you think of my Seishiro snake, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Seishiro flame! The dude just like... pull together 3 on his ass. It's like, what the fuck?
Whatever could Father be hiding from me? About Giselle Watt? About Dr. Watson? And now it seems, according to the report, about Cosmo. I'm going to have to bring this up with Father sometime. When nobody else is around.
Judicial Assistant Migatoba, Esquires,
Could I have a word?
Oh, yes, of course, Soseki. What is it?
I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you.
Oh?
I believe that it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England.
This I have to hear.
Please.
Please, Soseki, tell me at once.
I will! As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cast. I am not. Such awful things I was burned. Thank goodness. Locum student Naruhodo Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on the ship and get back to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Migatoba. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report.
My father?
He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left us eventually having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent a telegram to you asking you to return to Japan.
What was it then? The particular part my father was interested in?
I don't really know exactly. But do you remember those two terrible cases I was caught up in?
Of course, I can never forget.
Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case.
The second one? You mean the one Mr. Solms forbade any of us to talk about in public? Which is why the only case involving you that any member of the public is aware of is the first.
Well, I don't care! I don't have to listen to what the dastardly detective says. Anyway, the point is, it seems that case holds the key to all of these curious and unanswered questions. How they feel and describe the case of the haunted lodgings.
The case somehow caused my father to summon me back I thought the whole business was over, but see how it was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story's not yet told.
こうしてかの英国留学生の事件は決着がついたのでございます。大師院に立ってほんの少し分かったような気がいたしました。なるほど様が異国の法廷で何に立ち向かっているのかを。今日はもう一つお知らせしたいことがあって筆を取りました。夏目漱石様がおっしゃった2つ目の事件。父は何も語りませんが、あの事件にはどうやら大きな謎を解く重要な鍵が眠っているようでございます。あの事件の記録はお部屋の棚の左隅に残しておきました。よろしければ振り返ってみてはいかがでしょうか。日本はいよいよ夏の盛り、今日も抜けるような青空でございます。なるほど様、もう一度お会いしたく存じます。すさと。
And that's the end of the first case. And with that, I'm going to drop a save like so. And in the next part, we deal with the memoirs of the clouded Kokoro. Which we're going to do right after this. So as you can tell, these are basically all the episodes. So next time, we're going to start up with the memoirs of the clouded Kokoro. See you then.